Today's video, I'm going to show you how I would turn 177,000 dead leads into a revenue machine with AI. My name is Iggy and I am the CEO of CharlieAI. It is an AI setter in a box to help you run your revenue operations and ultimately get you a higher return on ad spend and increase sales performance without having to spend more money on ads. Now, before we start, what's already happened? So year to date, my company in our portfolio has collected over $4 million with 0 human appointment setters. Every single dollar that has been collected was powered by Charlie, which is just, I don't know anybody else who can say that. And we're averaging about 122 bookings per day from one reactivation campaign. What that looks like is over the last 6 weeks, we've seen different companies in our portfolio go from about $60,000 to $175,000 a month from dead leads. Now, the cool thing is that the dormant leads in your CRM are just like a gold mine of opportunities that are untapped, that are inhumane for people to go after, but perfectly feasible to have AI go after those leads because AI can just message all of them and engage all of them and follow up with all of them indefinitely until they move forward and buy. So my promise to you is I'm going to walk you through the exact conversations I had with this business, the exact gaps I found, and the phased AI system I would build to turn their dormant leads into predictable revenue without blowing up their budget, without overwhelming their team, and starting small and scaling deliberately. So that's my promise to you. I'm going to be walking you through how I would do this for a client and also walk through what that looks like when we plug Charlie in. So if what I show you makes sense, if you can see how this works in your business, will you take the next step I recommend? Not to buy anything, just take the next step and actually start implementing some of these things inside of your business because it could completely change the way that you run your business forever. What you might be thinking right now is AI can't sell like a human. Well, we've done 4 million year to date with 0 human setters. The data just fundamentally says otherwise. AI can definitely help you make more sales. And then you might think 177,000 leads is too many to handle. That's exactly why you don't start with all of them. You start with just 500. And that's going to be a really important point that we focus on, is starting small and then scaling deliberately. Our team already works hard. That's not the issue. It's capacity problem, not a lazy team problem. Like if your team already works hard, they're at capacity. You can't make them work harder. You can't make them work more hours during the day. Otherwise, they're going to burn out because we are human. We have a finite amount of energy. Our energy source is not unlimited. And then you might be thinking, well, we've already tried AI and it didn't work. It's because most people deploy it wrong. There's a training process that changes everything. And there's a specific sequence you need to follow in order to properly implement AI into your pipeline in a way that drives meaningful revenue and results for your company. So what we're going to cover is the situation, what I walked into and where the money was leaking. 2, the drop ball problem, why more people don't fix a capacity problem. 3, the AI phase system. So essentially the phase AI system, like what the AI sales system looks like. There's 3 phases to turn dormant leads into revenue inside of your business. 4 is a training process, how to make Charlie go from green to dialed in 90 days and what that looks like. And then 5 is the opportunity to map behind 177,000 leads and how to capture it utilizing Charlie inside of your business. This company is a trading firm, and essentially the setup is that the business is a trading education company, right? So they have a free lead magnet and there's no barrier to entry, a lot of leads coming in. And the team, there's like 3 full-time inbound triages. There's a DM team, there's an outbound calling team, and they're getting about 250 to 400 new leads per day. So, and monthly revenue, I think for, is gone from like 60K to 170K a month in the last 6 weeks. But they've got 177,000 leads sitting in their CRM right now that have been completely and woefully untouched. right? So these are the types of opportunity that I salivate at because I just see nothing but green. I see that many dead leads in the pipeline. I just see nothing but like multi six figure, multiple seven figure opportunities. So the existing pipeline looks like this: leads opt in using a free for the free lead magnet. The outbound team goes after them for about a 96-hour cadence. The DM team works them, trying to get them rebooked, and then into the triage calendar. And then once they have the triage, they get moved to a sales call. And then the thing about it is that there's, after the triage call and the people that don't move to the sales call, even those people that don't close, after that, nothing's happening, right? So if they don't move beyond that step of the triage and they don't respond, nothing's happening up until now, which we're going to be fixing. So more people don't actually answer the problem because the problem is that the ball's being dropped, but it can't be fixed with more people, right? More people don't fix a capacity problem. They just make it more expensive, right? The answer is a system that continues working regardless of time zone, days of the week, how many leads are in the pipeline. There's no, I'm sorry, I've been busy. Yes, I'm still interested, right? Because that's what most leads are saying, right? They're interested, but they've just been busy, so they forget, right? So that's not a dead lead. That's a lead who needed more time and more touch points than a human team could realistically provide. Because as a human, you have to prioritize the new leads that are inbounding and try and make space for the old leads that haven't responded. Shoot, like, if I don't respond to somebody, I forget they even exist as I continue my day. Like, I need somebody to prompt me and follow up and be like, hey, just circling back, have you seen this? Right? So you got to ask yourself, does your business have leads sitting in a CRM that nobody is following up with right now? If the answer is yes, just go ahead and type yes in the comments. Right? So the 3-phase system, right? I wouldn't start by turning AI loose on all 177,000 leads. That would just create chaos. So phase 1 is we got to start with a low-hanging fruit and immediate ROI, right? So the first AI agents that we deploy when we take on a company like this is we go after rebooking no-shows, rebooking cancellations, and then we go after a targeted database reactivation of 500 leads that have had a sales call that didn't buy. And the reason for that is we want to test messaging for a reactivation campaign, what we call a reoffer campaign. And we want to test the messaging for those leads to see if we can put together a reoffer promo that can get those leads and give them an excuse to raise their hand and say, I am still interested. Yes, I'm in. And the reason why those 3 lists are your lowest hanging fruit, because those signal leads that have gone through all the different friction points to get onto your sales calendar, but they weren't able to either, the call wasn't able to be taken, hence no show or cancellation, or your team had a sales call with them and they weren't able to convert them. But that means the list number 3 is the lowest hanging fruit that has the opportunity for the highest upside, because that list of people have heard the price. So if you can be straight up with them and offer them an incentive to come back and say yes, you make it easier for those leads to say yes, even though you're going to be collecting less money from them, you're actually going to be increasing your return on ad spend because you've already spent money and worked hard to acquire those leads. Right? So that's phase 1. We want to go after low hanging fruit. Phase 2 is going to be implementing a top of funnel coverage. So we want AI setters in the gap between leads being qualified to them being booked, and from the book calls going to the closers. And then we also want to pass the data back to make the agent smarter, but then segment the data and pass it back to your Facebook campaigns to make your meta pixel more intelligent at sending you the right people, right? And then phase 3 is ultimately going through full coverage and getting to a point where all the deals are being touched by AI. So from the time to opt in, the time to have the sales call, the time they're followed up, the reoffer, the reactivation, every single one of those things, we want to have full coverage on the back end. We want NPS, we want AI helping to generate reviews, we want AI helping to generate referrals, all that good stuff. So phase one, with the low hanging fruit and immediate ROI, right? We want to deploy the no-show rebooking agent. So within Charlie, we have different database reactivation agents. The three that are the most potent in terms of just supercharging a pipeline and extracting ROI pretty quickly is getting our no-show rebooking agent going after all the leads that no-showed, getting our cancellation rebooking agent going after all the leads that canceled. It's important that you segment these two, because how you approach somebody who no-showed and how you approach somebody who proactively reached out to cancel their booking is two very different kind of nuanced messaging talk tracks. All right. So we already have those kind of pre-built. We have the proven processes mapped out. So those are the two that we're going to deploy. And then the third one is a targeted reactivation. So we want to start with a list of 500 leads that your team has already talked to. They know the price. And then we want to put together a database reactivation promo. So depending on the kind of offer, we have our scholarship reoffer campaign. We have our grant reoffer campaign. We have our lots of different reoffer campaigns inside of our fast cash playbook. And we just essentially determine which one is going to be the best for your offer. For this company, since it's a B2C offer, we're going to be going with our scholarship database reactivation campaign. So when this went live, 122 bookings came through in one day from only one reactivation. We were only able to deploy one reactivation agent, which was a database reactivation agent, and they had to turn it off because it went live and they got 122 bookings in a single day. You know what happened to their entire calendar? They got booked solid. And they had to turn down ad spend, and they even have to turn off ads because they just didn't have enough availability on the calendar to generate new leads. That's the power of starting with leads you already have before you spend another dollar to generate new ones, is you have to maximize what's in your pipeline right now. So phase two, the top of funnel coverage. So phase one is dialed in and it was producing. Now we build a top of funnel AI agent that lives in between the gap from the opt-in and human contact. So the conversation flow is like, what are you hoping to accomplish? What has been the main hurdles? What have you tried before? Like the goal is to pre-sell, qualify, and then book them directly with the closers. And so the cool thing on this is like the first 24 hours, humans get the first shot, right? So humans get the first shot, the first 24 hours of lead ops in. And then from 24 hours on, now Charlie fills in the gap to take over, and it continually follows up with the lead until it gets a response. So the cool thing is, even though their humans had first dibs to get leads booked within the first 24 hours, after that, when Charlie was engaged, it still got a 30% response rate to the messages it sent, and was able to accomplish a 20% response to book. Just think about that. So your people are able to get as many calls booked within the first 24 hours as they can. And then all the ones that they weren't able to get a hold of, Charlie is able to get 30% of them to respond and then another 20% of them to book. That's 20% more bookings that are coming through without you having to spend more money on those leads. So that's the coverage, and that's ongoing. So that allows the people on the team to focus on capturing speed to lead with the new leads that are coming in. And they don't have to worry about hunting those leads down because they know as soon as that 24-hour mark hits, Charlie's coming in and filling the gap. And guess what? Charlie does not forget to follow up with anybody. So it's following up with them until they buy or die. We call it being professionally persistent. I personally call it being tastefully aggressive. So Charlie is very tastefully aggressive. And so the cool thing is, because we're able to increase the amount of bookings that are coming through, now you have more pixel events firing back to your meta ads so that your ads campaigns are getting smarter about who to bring in so that your team can stay full, right? So then we go to phase three, which is the full pipeline coverage. So we've got the low-hanging fruit, we've got top of funnel coverage, and now the full pipeline coverage is setting up these automations behind the scenes to go after the deal pending follow-up. So if you've got offers that have been made and they're just pending follow-ups, having an AI agent to help nurture those leads are awesome. We've got a reoffer agent that goes after the leads that didn't close after 21 days. We got a referral agent that goes after existing customers that have been sold to get them to turn them into lead sources for the sales team. And then we've got an NPS agent that checks in with new customers after 30 days to see how they're doing, to see what their experience is like. And then if they're doing great, it's going to ask them for a referral. If they're not doing great, it's going to escalate it and get them to book in with somebody on our escalation team to triage that, right? So once you put these things together, you get full operational coverage. Like it's a full operating system. Your closers do one thing: show up to the calls and update the disposition. After the disposition is updated, everything before and after that appointment is supported by the system, full stop. So the beautiful thing about it is that it's a system that follows up with every lead at every stage with perfect consistency. If you had that, would that change your business? It's transformed the way that I build and run our companies. Our sales teams are the happiest they've ever been, because can you just imagine how happy a closer is to not do any admin work? All they have to do is show up and update the disposition, and then the system takes care of the rest. If that would be a game changer for your sales team, you should go right now, go to CharlieAI.io and book a damn demo and put Charlie to work in your pipeline, like right now. So Charlie starts green, right? And that's where the training process kicks in. So month one, Charlie might be a 6 out of 10. It's learning the ropes, it's handling common scenarios. Month two, we get it to an 8 out of 10. It's trained on real conversations and is handling edge cases. And by month three, we have it dialed in. It's running out of common situations to train on. Like we don't have more stuff that we can train it on. It's just handling everything. So the critical difference is a human setter who gets trained, you hope they remember, right? Charlie, when you train him once, he does not forget, right? Every correction, every piece of feedback, every objection you teach him, it becomes part of the operating system of Charlie inside your account permanently. So let that sink in. That's leverage that you don't get putting the time and effort into training people. So I want to put the time and effort into training people that are going to be the most essential within our organization, and then have everything else be supported by systems that become a part of our core operations. And that increases our value, our enterprise value for our organization. So the 3 ways we train Charlie, because we give it response feedback. This is just gentle nudges telling it like what it could have done differently when it responded. We give it knowledge base. This is like hard and fast rule. If somebody asks how much it costs, say this. These are like non-negotiable. And then the other thing is we give it, we update the persona, right? So we want to make sure Charlie's communication is aligned with your brand, and make sure its tone isn't off, its energy doesn't match, and things like that. So those are the 3 areas that we use to ultimately improve Charlie and get it sounding really, really good. And then the commitment from you as our client is you got to spend 15 and 20 minutes a day. That's all it takes in the early weeks. Review conversations, send screenshots when something looks off, be responsive, be engaged. Treat it like you're onboarding the best setter you've ever hired, right? Because that's exactly what you're doing. And the difference is the work you put in doesn't disappear when an employee leaves, right? Forget scripts or anything like that. Like once that's been put in, it's a part of Charlie's operating system inside of your business permanently. So after 90 days, what changes? You stop managing an entire setting team. You stop doing the same call reviews over and over. You stop chasing people down to make sure leads are followed up with. You stop wondering whether the DM team work the list. You stop wondering whether outbound callers follow the script. Instead, you check the Charlie dashboard, review performance, see bookings coming in, and focus on the parts of the business that actually need you. So An AI that trains once, remembers forever, and works every lead at every stage with perfect consistency. Is it worth the effort? I think so, right? So the 177,000 lead opportunity. So the math with 177,000 leads, the goal is to get at least 1% of them to re-engage. That means 1,770 leads back into conversation. Even a fraction of them book in for a triage and ascend into a paid program, the system has paid for itself 1,000 times over, right? When you compare that to having to hire more people to do that, you got to onboard them, manage time off, call reviews, constant quality control. Like, humans should not be the only layer of coverage in a pipeline this large, right? If your sales system is 100% dependent on people, you're losing so much money. Is hilarious, and it's going to cost you so much more to fill it with more people. Like, you want a system that supports that and allows you to get predictable results without having to put more inputs in. So in the last 20 minutes, you saw how I would essentially take our team of AI agents and deploy into a client that has 177,000 leads. They're going to be going live today, actually. So I'll be able to, in the next video, when I record it, I'll be able to share updates on what's actually happened, right? And why more people don't fix a capacity problem, right? Is because it just makes it more expensive, right? More people don't fix a capacity problem because it just makes it more expensive. And I walked you through our 3-phase AI sales system that starts with 500 leads and scales deliberately, and how one of our clients was able to book 122 calls in one day from one reactivation agent alone. And then the training process that turns Charlie from green to dialed in 90 days. And also why you just need 1% of your age leads to engage from the reactivation agents for it to pay for itself. And the only thing standing between you and that revenue system right now, it's 3 paths. You can do nothing, you can try and do it yourself, or you can go to CharlieAI.io and get the proven system. Book a demo, get the method, get the phase deployment, get the AI trained, and start seeing results within the first 30 days. Most businesses are losing because not because they don't have enough leads. They're losing because they don't have a system capable of working the leads they already have. That's all you need, and you're ready to stop losing revenue and leaving money on the table. Go to CharlieAI.io for a demo, and I hope to see you on the inside. Peace.